Hello there. Right, let's look back at what we did last time, last lesson before half term relief and all that. Everybody got the definition of species. Brilliant. Yeah, capable of breeding fertile offspring. And then this question caused a lot of chaos. It says the classification system for life in biology is a non-overlapping hierarchy. Explain what this means. And it's worth 2 marks. A lot of you are just giving 1 mark answer. So I'll put a load of your answers here. I just thought I'd go through these. And the first one says small groups are placed within larger groups with no overlap between groups based on their evolutionary origins and relationships. That gets 1 mark. Simply because, again, really good example of what a hierarchy is. However, you can't, if it says explain what non-overlapping means, you can't say it doesn't overlap. Yeah, you have to say more than that. This one's same as well. So each organism belongs to its own group. Oh, so no, sorry, that's one mark. And different organisms. Yeah, so they've missed out on the second on the hierarchy bit. Yeah, so they said each organism belongs to its own individual group, so that's the no overlapping bit. Yeah, but they haven't said why it's a hierarchy. That one gets 1 mark. This one gets 1 mark. This one gets that's our 2 marker. Whoever you are, well done. But yeah, it says smaller groups are placed within larger groups. Organisms can't belong in more than 1 group at each level of the hierarchy. So they said smaller groups are placed in larger groups. That's what a hierarchy is. And organisms can't belong to more than one group. Yeah, nice and short. And I'll zip through these. Well, that one gets 0, I'm afraid, because this means that no 2 points of the hierarchy overlap each other. Too vague. It's the symbol of vagueness. Remember, you need to avoid the symbol of vagueness. Again, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. Again, there's a 2 marker there. Groups of classifiers, ignore the typo, are arranged into a hierarchy with the largest group at the top and the smallest at the bottom. That's true. That's our hierarchy. The organisms can only belong to 1 group. So again, just look at how many people got 2 marks. So 3 out of my little sample size here, which is just and it's just question skill, and you'll get better at this as you do more biology. Yeah, it's just being careful. Because that's what we have to write for a 2 marker. Smaller groups are placed within larger groups. That's what a hierarchy is, and organisms only belong to 1 group. That's why we call it non-overlapping. If it didn't say non-overlapping in the question, then it'd be legitimate to say and none of the groups overlap. Okay, but it said overlapping in the question. Okay for that? Good. It's all about making errors and learning from them. So that's all we do. That's how we learn. Right. We're going to look at courtship today. When I go out in early morning, when I'm up at 5 a.m., yes, 5 a.m. to listen to the dawn chorus, all the birds are chirping. All these are birds, not groundbreaking. Can we name them? Robin, great tit, starling, blackbird, easy one, hopefully, blue tit, yeah, house sparrow. Okay, I'm going to put a few more up. Goldcrest, dunnock, I think. I'm hoping that's a dunnock. Anyway, someone else. There's bound to be an expert. I'm not an expert bird person, but can you see how these middle two, look very similar? Okay, that's got this has got a white bar on its wing. That's got a white bar on its wing. This has got more of has got a white patch above its eye. That's got a white patch just below its eye. So that's the main difference here. And the difference here, that's got a white bar on its wing. That hasn't got a white bar on its wing and a different shaped beak as well. Okay, but it's easy you could easily muddle up this one with this one. If you were just going on visuals, then a male blue tit may mate with a female great tit. It'd be disastrous because they're different species. They will produce infertile offspring, or they wouldn't be successful in the breeding to start with. So they have courtship rituals that involve chirping a certain way to kind of double check that you're my species. They can't just go on visuals alone. As I say later on, when you look at the worksheet, it seems bizarre to us because we are the only hominid. Yeah, there's Homo sapiens. There's no other hominid that we're going to get confused with. Yeah, our closest ones are the chimpanzee and bonobo, and it's obvious that they are not the same species, and we're also intelligent, so we know. Yeah, but yeah, it's trickier for things like birds that have got less brain power, and there's lots of very similar species zooming around. All these are in a garden in the UK potentially. Okay, so yeah, you can see how courtship's important for species ID. So it's just a little kind of 2 lines in the syllabus, and that's what we're going to finish off today. Colt it. Again, easy to distinguish. But maybe you get a grubby version of a blue tit. It's been in some coal dust, and therefore it's got dusted in black, and therefore, oh look, it looks like my species. It'd be easy to get confused if you were that coal tit. Anyway, and this is another problem. This is a firefly. They have an enzyme called luciferase that reacts with the substrate, and it makes a glowing. It's an exothermic, but in terms of light reaction, I'm probably saying that badly. So yeah, I mean they flash in a certain way, as in they flash their abdomen. And there's many species of this, so they have a certain flash pattern. So this is a picture where this firefly is out, and they've kept it with a long exposure, and there's different kind of like flash patterns there. They go, flash, 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 things like that. Does one species? Again, we don't need to know about fireflies, but they've done bird song comparisons in exams before now, and they've done flash patterns of firefly species before now as well. Again, and they couldn't go on their visuals because it's dark. And here's some more. This is the male peacock. That's the peahen. You can just see it there. Oh, sorry, there's 2. I thought it was a double-headed one there. But yeah, there's 2 peahens. He's trying to impress them. There's high sexual dimorphism in some bird species. So obviously the male looks very different to the females. That's sexually dimorphic. Whereas these birds here, these are grebes. It's hard to know which is the male and which is the female. So they don't show sexual dimorphism to a great extent. So yeah, here's our male bird. He's trying to attract. He will only be successful if they are wooed by his elaborate tail. These grebes basically run on water to kind of prove their worth to their partner. It's called pair bonding. So if she finds a strong male, she knows that he's going to be good at getting food to feed the chicks when they hatch. These snails are even doing it. They're sizing each other up to check, even though they're hermaphrodites. They're both sex organs, but they're sizing each other up, making sure they're the same species. Looks like Helix aspersia, but I could be wrong. He did a little bit of work on anole lizards. This is its dewlap. You can always go back to that, and there's a dewlap activity where we can kind of match colours of dewlaps. But yeah, he normally hides his dewlap, but when he wants to breed, he flashes his dewlap, and that obviously compromises his camouflage. But that's attractive to a female, and therefore he will mate with the female. Yeah, there's like a piece of cartilage here, and then this is just a loose flap of skin. And it just moves up. This is the peacock spider. I'll put a link to these on YouTube. They are amazing. Amazing. Again, it looks made up, but yeah, it's flashing its abdomen, much like the peacock does. Hence, it's called the peacock spider. But yeah, he flashes it to his female or potential female mate, and then breeds very tentatively before he has to try and escape before he's eaten by the said female. Okay, so there's lots of animals that have got lots of courtship rituals, and in biology exams they will tell you about the courtship rituals of these. Okay, or of an example. We just need to know why things do courtship, and they do it to kind of check that they're the same species, to kind of prove kind of fitness, to show that you're sexually mature. You don't want to breed with an adolescent male that can't make sex cells yet, because you'll go through the breeding process, risk being eaten by a predator as you're exposing your bodies to potential predators, and therefore it'd just be a waste of time. So they kind of show that they're sexually mature, show that that they're likely to be good parents, etc., etc. And I say later on that from the list of 5 that I give you on the next sheet, I would learn 3. And that's it from me. Just a quick pre-half-term message. Just really well done if you're working through this stuff. Then again, there'll be plenty of people in the country who aren't, and ultimately you'll beat them in the exam because you're doing work and they're not. So again, keep plugging on. Again, I know it's harder on the other side of the course technically, but this side of the course, it's relatively, it's not that technical. And hopefully you'll see from the questions that I send you that it's also relatively straightforward. But it's also, because it's not definite, it's not black and white. Is this? It's sometimes harder to answer those kind of questions where they're giving you information about the flash pattern of these 3 species of firefly. But hopefully you'll see in the stuff that I send you anyway. And after half term, we're then going to look at more evidence for how we classify species, and then we start the ecology stuff of year 13, which again is not technical. You've done most of it at year 10 and 11, and we normally do it at this time anyway, and we need to get ahead. You'll also be doing one of the practicals. We're going to get you to do it virtually, so one of the required practicals, because we can't virtualize the heart dissection, but we can make the growing micros ones virtual and get out what we need for you to get out of it. So that'll be after half term as well, and that'll save time when we get back in year 13 at some stage. So I shall leave it there. And there's obviously other things to do. Don't just stop here. You've got some other bits and pieces to do as well. Cheerio.